Listen, we get it. It can be hard to keep track of and tell the difference between all the characters in Dragon Ball, since most of the fighters are a bunch of screamy buff boys with spiky hair. But hopefully we can clear up some confusion by breaking down all the Saiyan hairstyles and colors that have featured throughout the franchise. It's time for a Dragon Ball history lesson, folks, so pay attention. Let's start off with the Saiyans in their base form. When it comes to the biology of Saiyans, specifically with their hair, there's a lot to cover. In terms of pure-blooded Saiyans, most, if not all of them, have black hair, or at least very dark hair that's usually in some sort of spiky style. This isn't 100% true of every single Saiyan, but the majority of them have spiky hairstyles, with a few having no hair too short to be spiky, or hair that sits flat. Speaking of hairstyles of Saiyans in their base form, we learned through Vegeta's time in the hyperbolic time chamber that pure-blooded Saiyans keep their hairstyle and length from the day they are born, something he explicitly stated, and something that tracks when you look at Goku's transition from kid to adult, and the fact that neither his nor Vegeta's hair grew while they were in the time chamber. This means that a Saiyan's hair works a lot like an animal fur, stopping at a certain length. We also learned from the hyperbolic time chamber that Saiyans can grow facial hair. It just takes a long time, both because of the way their hair looks and because of their slow aging. The biological traits of keeping the same hairstyle and length, growing beards slowly, and having dark spiky hair doesn't always apply to the half-human, half-Saiyan hybrids of the series. In fact, none of this applies, and the traits of the half-Saiyan's hair work the same way as humans. It's either a combination of the parent's hair or similar to specifically one of them. Let's take a look at Gohan. He had Goku's dark spiky hair, but it wasn't the same style. In fact, when he had it trimmed for his trip to Namek, it sat flat in a bowl cut, and as the series progressed, he'd have a number of different hairstyles, showing that it doesn't stick to one look. Trunks is similar, since he's had his mother's hair, and Goten, though originally looking like a clone of Goku, would eventually grow his hair out to a mullet in the Peaceful World saga, showing that he, like the other half-Saiyans, don't follow the same hair rules as the full-blooded Saiyans. As any fan of the Dragon Ball series knows, when a Saiyan goes Super, their hair changes significantly. The most obvious change is that it turns gold, and in the case of some Saiyans, their hair also sticks upright. We say some because in the case of Vegeta and Gohan, their hair is already sticking up and doesn't change style when going Super, it just turns gold. The first time we saw the Super Saiyan form was during the Frieza saga, when Goku's rage at the death of Krillin drove him to transform into the warrior of Saiyan legend. Up until this point, no one was really sure what an actual Super Saiyan looked like, as Vegeta just believed it to be a status of power rather than a transformation, as seen when he thought himself to be one after a few power-ups, and when he later thought the same of Goku. However, it became very clear what a Super Saiyan actually was when Goku's hair changed color and style, establishing a new look for the character and a new hairstyle for Saiyans. As we mentioned earlier, the way that Super Saiyans transform affects a Saiyan's hair, and it's different for every Saiyan. For Goku, his hair stands straight up on top, turning gold, and the same thing happens to Goten's hair. For Gohan, who had long hair when he first transformed, it stuck up a little bit, but not as much as Goku's did. And when he later had his hair cut, it just turned gold. For Vegeta, since his hair already stands up, it just turns gold when transforming. For Trunks, on the other hand, his straight purple bowl-cut hair transforms into chunky and upright blonde spikes upon going Super. Most fans of the series, even those who are vaguely familiar with Dragon Ball, know about this particular Saiyan hairstyle. But did you know the reason why? Well, we don't actually know the biological in-story reason, but we do know why Toriyama decided to make Super Saiyans have gold hair. It was because he wanted to give his inking assistant less work. So instead of filling in Goku's hair with black ink, he could leave it in white in the original manga, a tiny decision that ended up changing the series. During the Cell Saga, Goku, Vegeta, and Trunks all attempted to push the Super Saiyan form past its limits to create an even stronger form. This resulted in a couple of different subsequent sort of new forms after Super Saiyan that weren't quite fully new transformations. The only major transformation that resulted from these experimentations with the Super Saiyan form were larger muscles, and in the case of future Trunks, even spikier hair. But this could also be a result of his hair being longer. Regardless, the point is that there was no real addition to the different types of Saiyan hairstyles until Gohan fully pushed past the Super Saiyan form to become an Ascended Super Saiyan, a transformation that will later become known as Super Saiyan 2. The Super Saiyan 2 form isn't too far in appearance from regular Super Saiyan. The Saiyan's hair is still gold and spiky, it's just much more spiky. It's not a crazy difference. In fact, the series poked fun at this idea when Babidi stated he didn't see any difference between Super Saiyan 1 and Super Saiyan 2. But if you look closely, you can see what makes a Super Saiyan's hair and a Super Saiyan 2 hair is different. With Gohan, the hair went from being a gold version of his base form style to a giant mess of spikes all facing upward. Spikes that were far less chunky and much skinnier, making Gohan look like he had french fries on his head. The difference is a lot less clear with the likes of Goku and Vegeta, but it's still there. For Goku, his hair becomes much stiffer, and the bangs that hang down in his Super Saiyan form almost all go upwards. As for Vegeta, his hair also becomes stiffer, and the spikes become far more pronounced, rather than a vague mass of floofy, upwards-facing gold hair that he has in his regular Super Saiyan form. This is also how Gohan's hair looked when he was a teenager and went Super Saiyan 2, since he had just plain short, spiky hair, so the difference between his Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan 2 forms become much less prominent. Again, it's not a crazy difference, but when breaking down all his Saiyan hairstyles, we can't skip over the tiny details, can we? It could be argued that the first Super Saiyan 3 transformation in Dragon Ball is one of the main sources of those who haven't seen the series boiling it down to a giant, ridiculous blonde hair and lots of screaming. Whether or not this is true, there's no denying that the Super Saiyan 3 form is pretty ridiculous looking. Don't get us wrong, it's still pretty badass, but come on, just look at that hair, it's bonkers. But enough joking around, since the Super Saiyan 3 form is yet another significant entry in the long list of crazy Dragon Ball hairstyles, it's time to break it down and explain everything about it. Like the Super Saiyan 2, the Super Saiyan 3 form was the result of ascending past Super Saiyan, and then pushing even farther to ascend once more. Goku was able to accomplish this form while training with King Kai in the afterlife, and the form puts much more strain on a living person. The form is definitely powerful, but we're not looking at power. We're looking at hairstyles, and Super Saiyan 3's hairstyle is, it sure is something. Rather than just turning a Saiyan's hair more upward and more prominent spikes, Super Saiyan 3 extends a Saiyan's hair to great lengths, jutting out into chunky spikes until it reaches past their waist. The result is a massive mane of glowing gold spikes. But the golden mullet isn't the only change to a Saiyan's hair that the form causes. It also gets rid of some of their hair, specifically their eyebrows. As you can see, Goku's brow is hairless in the form, giving him an ape-like appearance and leaving us with questions about where exactly his eyebrows go during the transformation. Regardless, Goku isn't the only Saiyan to achieve this form. Gotenks, as well as others in non-canon material, was able to turn Super Saiyan 3 after perfecting fusion, gaining a much more smooth arc of spiky hair when he skipped over Super Saiyan 2 to the ridiculous-looking Super Saiyan 3. Seriously, the form looks pretty cool on Goku, but Gotenks, a weird-looking buff boy? Yeah, it's one of the most weird-looking designs. It's not bad, it's just no child should ever look like that. Between the end of Dragon Ball Z and the return of the franchise via Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods and eventually Dragon Ball Super, there weren't any new forms added to the franchise, so no new hairstyles. Sorry, folks. Well, there were some things from a certain series that fans don't like to talk about, but those aren't considered canon these days, so we're gonna skip on ahead to Super Saiyan God. Super Saiyan God was, as mentioned, a form introduced in Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods, which was later retold in Dragon Ball Super, while the transformation being a temporary form of godhood was criticized for going against Goku not being interested in divinity, as seen when he refused Kami's offer to take his job as Guardian of Earth in the Piccolo Jr. saga. It's still a pretty interesting transformation. Rather than being a form achieved through training, in order for a Saiyan to become a Super Saiyan God, they must borrow the Super Saiyan power of 5 other Saiyans. With this power, Goku was transformed into a Super Saiyan God, but the changes in appearance were much different than previous forms. The Super Saiyan God form resulted in Goku's eyes turning red, leaving his pupils black, unlike Super Saiyan 1 and 2, which turned Saiyan's eyes completely greenish-blue. This form also affected Goku's body, slimming his muscles down to be more toned and streamlined. Additionally, Goku appeared to look quite a bit younger, likely meant to reflect the eternal youth that a god might have. As for the focus of this video, the hairstyle changes that comes with the Super Saiyan God form were also significantly different from past Super Saiyan forms. Instead of his hair sticking straight up, Goku's hairstyle remained the same, only changing color to the same shade of red as his eyes. All those appearance changes were the same when Vegeta finally turned Super Saiyan God for the first time in the anime, during his fight with Broly in Dragon Ball Super Broly. The Super Saiyan God form, as mixed as fans might be on it, deserves credit for trying something new, a unique approach that wasn't exactly taken with the next form that was introduced in the series, which didn't change much from the usual hairstyles of the series. After Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods, there was one more film prior to the announcement and premiere of Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball Z Resurrection F. The film and the Dragon Ball Super saga that adapted and canonized it depicted the return of Frieza, who is now stronger than ever, both in his final form and because of his new temporary transformation, Golden Frieza. With his return to life and the new power he obtained by training, Frieza sought to get revenge on Goku and the planet he called home, showing up to challenge both him and Vegeta. While it seemed like Frieza was stronger and more frightening than ever, Goku and Vegeta didn't come to fight unarmed, so to speak. We're talking about the fact that Vegeta and Goku, who had been training with Whis to master godly ki, had developed the Super Saiyan Blue form, originally known as Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan, Super Saiyan Blue is the result of both Goku and Vegeta obtaining Super Saiyan Godhood, holding on to that godly ki, then channeling it through their base form, going Super Saiyan to create an all-new Super Saiyan form that gives us even more hairstyles that break down and explain. Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan was renamed to Super Saiyan Blue for one reason: the fact that this new form turns a Super Saiyan's hair blue in color. Other than this, the hairstyle that comes with the form is identical to the regular Super Saiyan form, just colored blue. However, there is an offshoot to this form that also must be discussed: Super Saiyan Rosé. This is a form exclusive to Goku Black, who had the soul and energy of Zamasu, a supreme Kai. With his godly ki filtered through a Saiyan's body, Goku Black's Super Saiyan form resulted in pink hair. Also worth mentioning is the fact that when fused with Zamasu, Goku's Super Saiyan hairstyle was applied to their fusion, resulting in him having Zamasu's white hair color and Super Saiyan Goku's hairstyle. Okay, we don't blame you if you had some trouble following on with this one. The breakdown of Super Saiyan forms combined with godly ki and the hairstyles that resulted from it are kind of all over the place. That about does it for the main Saiyan hairstyles that have been featured throughout the Dragon Ball franchise, but there are still a few loose ends to cover in the category of canon Saiyan hairstyles. Going in order of appearance, there's the Grade 8 form, which gives all Saiyan the same exact hair with a bit of variation here and there. Specifically, a Saiyan's body hair grows and spreads everywhere, covering them as their body transforms into a giant muscular beast. Additionally, the top of a Grade 8's head is a spiky hairstyle that comes to a point, with Vegeta's form having somewhat more pronounced spikes. Next, there's Gohan's ultimate form, which, while not a form specific to Saiyans, still resulted in his hair changing. There's also the hairstyles that resulted from fusions. Goten and Trunks basically have Vegeta's hairstyle as Gotenks, but with the sides being colored purple like Trunks' hair. As for Vegito, the fusion's hairstyle is straight up like Vegeta's, but with Goku's spiky bangs, the color being slightly more brown than either of theirs are. Gogeta's hair is exactly the same as Vegito's, just without the slight brown coloring. Fast forward to Dragon Ball Super and we have Goku's Ultra Instinct form. This is another transformation that's not exclusive to Saiyans, but due to the fact that a Saiyan's hair changes with their power, Goku's hair turns silver when he mastered the technique, but that's just our theory. We also have Broly's various hair changes, which are separate from the mainline Saiyan forms and their hairstyles, since Broly is a legendary Super Saiyan. First, there's his wrathful form, which gives him the power of the Grade 8 form without transforming, but his hair does stand up straight and expand into fuller spikes. Then there's his regular Super Saiyan form, which turns his wrathful hairstyle gold, and finally his legendary Super Saiyan form, which pushes his hair spikes to crazy lengths and directions and adding a green tint to his hair color. Additionally, Broly's legendary Super Saiyan hair is almost identical to Kale's Berserker Super Saiyan hair. Kale also has different hair when she masters her Berserker form, the spikes being much less prominent. Last and to some least, we have the non-canon Saiyan transformations and their coinciding hairstyles. Though these aren't a part of the series' main canon, we decided to go through them to fully break down all the Saiyan hairstyles in the Dragon Ball franchise. First up on the list is the Pseudo Super Saiyan, a form and hairstyle that has an interesting story behind it. The Pseudo Super Saiyan form appeared only in the first Dragon Ball Z Lord Slug, where Goku became enraged, his anger giving him a power-up in the final fight against the titular villain. The Pseudo transformation was originally intended to be a Super Saiyan, and was referred to as such, but since the film it appeared in came out before the Dragon Ball manga had finished the Frieza saga, the real Super Saiyan form was eventually revealed. So this false form was renamed. Like Super Saiyan, this form turned Goku's hair upward, but without the stiffness and color change. Next, there's the Super Saiyan 4, which originated in the now non-canon Dragon Ball GT. It's fair to say that fans are a bit mixed on this transformation. Some agree that it's badass and has a cool design, and almost everyone agrees that it's strange, and it doesn't really fit as the fourth incarnation of the Super Saiyan form. Unlike previous Super Saiyan forms, Super Saiyan 4 gave Goku his black hair back, increasing its length so it hangs downward at the edges and reaches the middle of Goku's back, doing almost the exact same for Vegeta. It also gave Goku his eyebrows back from Super Saiyan 3 and covered his body with red fur, save for his pecs and parts of his abs, once again doing the same for Vegeta. Super Saiyan 4 wasn't the only form that Dragon Ball GT introduced. It also gave us the Golden Grade 8 form, which was exactly the same hairstyle as a regular Grade 8, just golden in color. Additionally, during the Baby Saga, Vegeta was possessed by the titular villain, resulting in his hair becoming white in some forms, curving upward into a weird shape in one of his final forms, a style that was retained when Baby Vegeta went Golden Grade 8, the color changing to match the gold fur of the form. So there you have it, a complete explanation of all the Saiyan hair colors and styles we've seen in Dragon Ball. Did you learn something new? Did we leave anything out? Let us know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to CBR for more Dragon Ball videos. Thanks for watching.